Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the American Tier 8 Premium Heavy Tank, the T-32a Proto. If you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the T-32a Proto. It is part of the Season Pass, and you will get this vehicle for free at level 100. Well, what's it like as a tank? Well, the T-32a is a T-32 that gives up some turret armor to have an autoloader. Now, it used to be that the turret armor on this vehicle was garbage, and you had the autoloader on top of that, so you lost out on the godly turret armor of a T-32, but you could then have a 3-shot autoloader, which you see here. And then they buffed the T-32a's turret to be near enough as good as the tech tree T-32, but you have an autoloader instead of a single shot on this 105mm gun. The thing is, this turret is good, and it is probably just about as good as the T-32, but it's a little bit worse in the fact that the cupola on top is a lot easier to pen on the T-32a than on the T-32. The cupola on the T-32 is a bit of a pain to pen, even when looking down on it, whereas on the T-32a it is a bit easier. So you can't quite sit hull down laughing as much that you're going to sit there bouncing everything, but it's still very, very, very good, and it can even go against tier 10s quite easily, as you're going to see in the next 2 replays for that. So the T-32a, with the build that I have, has a 38.5 km/h top speed, a 15 km/h reverse speed, 704 horsepower engine, which is 12.6 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you do get up to 38 km/h top speed, but you're a little bit sluggish to get there in general. You've got 20% internal fire chance, which is on the high end of fire chances, meaning that you are fairly likely to get set on fire as well in the T-32a. That's something to be careful of. 27.5 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed is also fairly slow in terms of the speed. It's not slow, but it's pretty slow to the point where you go, ooh, it doesn't turn the most quickest, which adds to the general lethargy of the mobility on the tank. You got 2.04 on soft, 1.26 on medium, and 1.01 on firm, which isn't the best ground resistances in the universe, and that's with help, by the way, which is why I say it's not the best ground resistances in the universe, and that can help to make the tank feel more sluggish, even though as well you don't have the best engine power in the universe. So you got 486 meters of view range as well, which is fairly average for a tier 8 tank, meaning you can spot for yourself decently in the T-32a. You can go to those aggressive hull down positions and spot out, which can be nice. 26.06 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed is slower than the hull, so bear that in mind if you're trying to get your gun snapped in on target. 0.62 accuracy during rotation is actually pretty good, and a 1.84 accuracy during movement is also pretty nice as a combination, meaning that the aim circle doesn't bloom out too horrifically. And if it does bloom out, you have a 2.39 second aim time, which is a little bit slow, and that little bit of bloom that you do have on this vehicle can feel like it takes a little bit of time to actually get the gun aimed in, but it's not horrific overall. You got 10 degrees of gun depression, which means just like on a standard T-32, you are incredibly flexible on a ridgeline, which is exactly where you want to be in this tank, going hull down and bouncing shots off your turret, as your hull armor is okay, but it will suffer against a lot of vehicles, so it's something you just got to be very, very careful of in the T-32a as well, same as you do in the standard T-32. 0.31 accuracy at 100 meters as well is okay. It's not fantastic, but it's still pretty good on this vehicle, meaning it is a fairly accurate tank, unless you don't lead it correctly, as the shell velocity can make this gun feel a little bit derpier if you're firing a standard AP. You've got 23.09 second reload on this gun, which is 2k DPM, but you never really pay attention to the DPM too much with autoloaders, because naturally they are all about that burst damage, which you do have a 3-shot clip, as you can see, with a 2.5 second intra-clip reload, which means it's 5 seconds to fire all 3 shots from firing the first one. And you have 320 alpha, so you've got a 960 alpha clip. 218 penetration on the standard AP, with 265 penetration on the premium APCR, means that the standard 218 is about average nowadays for a tier 8 tank, which it can be quite nice for it. And 265mm of penetration on the premium APCR is also very, very nice, meaning that you can go through most vehicles. It's only really the super heavily armoured vehicles like Type 5 or Mouse that you might actually struggle with in Mr. T-32a Proto. 945 meters a second shell velocity as well on the standard AP rounds is below average, and that is a little bit slow, which is where the gun can feel sometimes that little bit derpier from that shell velocity. So you have to give a fair bit of lead at distance to be able to hit your shots with this gun. And 1,181 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR is pretty nice, and that you will feel a massive difference in the gun handling again when you load the premium rounds, just purely because of that shell velocity. And it means you don't have to give too much lead at distance to be able to hit the targets with that shell velocity, but you still have to give a decent amount because it's not like having 13 or 1400 meters a second shell velocity. And also, since it's a premium, you do have a 150% silver bonus, which is nice to have for a tank for free. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on the T-32a? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Track Mechanics, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Off-Road Driving, Optics, Gun Stabilizer, Traction System. Traction System to get up to 38 kilometers an hour, as you will get there, and it's nice to have that on the tank, but like I say, you will feel a little bit sluggish trying to get up to that. The gun stabilizer to get the accuracy during rotation and movement down as low as possible so that we can snap shots like a boss if we want to, and it generally means that the aim circle doesn't bloom out too badly, so you don't have to suffer that 2.39 second aim time. And then the optics to be able to get the 486 meters of view range. All three gun perks to help the gun out as much as humanly possible as well, so that we can be as accurate as possible. With off-road driving to help the ground resistances, as the ground resistances are generally not that great on this tank, and again makes the tank feel a little bit more sluggish. So it's nice to be able to take the off-road driving so that we can hit our top speed easier. So that first game you saw there, we finished with the second class, the Sniper Medal, the 3,043 damage with 1 kill in a tier 10 lobby. We had a pretty decent game there for it. You saw a bit of the struggle we had against some of the tier 10s, like the Tyran, where we couldn't really spot him, and the Hin, he blapped us for nearly 1,000, because lol, that's the way it goes, to be fair. And we're on the second replay, and this second replay we're here on this map, which is Vineyards, and we again in a tier 10 lobby. So what I want to do in Vineyards is go to the positions around JK5 so that I can go hull down and shoot across that JK line against anyone that might be sitting in there, because naturally they will only have my turret to shoot at, which is my strong point, and then I can try and aim my shots in to get there. Now, you will struggle to get there a little bit quicker as we're going uphill, and the tank really does struggle uphill, but as soon as we get to this position that we're going across now on the J line, you are that little bit faster, and you can see we hit 38 kilometers an hour top speed, no problem, and it is nice just to have that extra 3 kilometers an hour top speed, because the standard speed on this tank is about 35 kilometers an hour, and naturally that's fairly average heavy tank mobility, so it's nice to be able to just be that little bit faster. So we see the Felice on the cross. Hello, Mr. Felice. Well, we're naturally going to put a shot straight through. We actually track him in place as well, which gives us a load of tracking assist. We'll take that to the bank and back. We unfortunately couldn't get the third shell in, but, well, he got shut down by the T-58 Heavy, and that fed us more tracking assist, so we'll take it. We're up to 624 damage as well, and what we're going to do is poke up on the right-hand side of this mound, because if we poke up on the right-hand side of this mound, we should be able to spot and shoot anyone at J2, J3. So we're looking for shots into Mr. Leopard that's across as well, and we get one in. We try and blind fire a second shot along the line, but we couldn't quite find him with either of those two shots. It would have been nice to get rid of him, but there we go. But we get spotted by the SU-130PM as he poked over the ridgeline at J2. So we're just going to pull back, wait till we get unspotted, stay safe, wait for our reload to come in. Then we can go and try and punish the FV225 and the TD if they decide to push in aggressively. Because at the minute, they're staying back conservatively in that position down at K2, but I want to be able to punish them if I can. So we're just trying to maneuver ourselves on the ridgeline, see if we can find a shot. We get spotted, though, and then instantly detected, so something is looking at us. We've got to be very, very careful. The SU-130PM was pushing in. The SU-12254 was pushing in. There's the gun handling being that little bit derpy. We bounced the shot from the SU-12254 off our turret, and then put another shot through the side of the FV225. A nice little clip there. Sadly, we couldn't get the first shot in, but that's, again, the gun handling on this vehicle. It sometimes can be that little bit derpy, so you just have to bear with it. as, yeah, you will miss opportunities to do that extra shot damage like we did. So we're nearly loaded. The FV225, like I say, is in a dangerous position. Hopefully we can track him, but oh, that's one of those where we nearly had him, but the reload wasn't quite there. So we're going in on the FV225. I've got a full clip. I can't kill him in one clip, but I can put him down to a one-shot. So we push in. He double barrels us. We bounce off his side armor, which is so frustrating. We could have killed him here if that second shot hadn't bounced. But we do manage to get the third shell in, put him down to a one-shot, and now we're just going to hide from the FV225, because if he wants to come after me, he will die. And in fact, he's being shot in the rear there by the guys at J8, and the new Ultimate Pass reward vehicle is gone. So we're up to 2.2k damage with 1172 assistance damage, and that push on the FV225 was aggressive. And I figured that I'd be able to get there and be able to put him down to a one-shot, and he died just before I took a hit, but realistically he pushed very aggressively straight out and was ready to just get me. I thought maybe he was reloading or something like that, but I was mistaken, to be fair. So we get one shot into the ISM, which doesn't pen, it only tracked him, and naturally I'm not really going to pen an ISM with standard 218 pen. I need the 265 premium APCR to be able to go through that guy, so we're loading the premium round. I'm going to poke over to see if I can find this FV225, and there he is. But sadly, once again, we're in that point where it's like, nearly loaded, oh, we got away with it, damn. Right, you know, that kind of frustration, but we've got the premium rounds in, which makes it a bit easier to be able to pen the FV225, but also if the ISM got spotted, we'd get him. So the first shot we snapped doesn't go in, which I was kind of disappointed about, but the second two shells do fly into the FV225, putting us up to 2.9k damage. Now, I'm seeing the heavy tank moving across the one line, and I'm not too concerned about that at this point, because I do have a heavy tank at J1, and I'm just going to have a look what it is. It's a full health T-77, but I can't go anywhere until this FV225 gets killed, because if I try to get safe from that guy, yeah, the FV225 will kill us. So again, we've caught the FV225 out. We put 3 shots into his side. He ricochets both his shells off of our turret, and the T-77 has actually killed the dude that was at J2. And again, I'm starting to think, okay, I need to get out of dodge. But with the FV225 being alive, that makes it pretty awkward, because I can't get out without him killing me, probably with a double barrel, because I can't cross this section here that I need to cross. So we're waiting on the reload, get the shot through the bug gun mantlet, which thankfully has hopefully been fixed by now. But sadly for me, the T-77, oh, caught us cold. We couldn't get out. And he finished us off, which is a sad time for T-32a Proto. But we finished the game with 4.1k damage, 1100 assistance, the third class on that 1155 base XP, which was a really nice game for the T-32a in a tier 10 game. And again, showed off what it can do when it's hulled down, and you can have a really nice day with it. But, yeah, it was one of them annoying moments where it's like, I know where I need to go, but I cannot get there because I'll just get double-barreled by that new British heavy tank, and he will kill me. But I've also got a T-77 knocking at the back door, and you don't want a T-77 up your back door because, as you've just seen, it hurts. So we were trying to get out, and we knew we had to get rid of the FV225 first, and it was that split second of waiting for the reload and killing the FV225 that essentially got us killed. But it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. So we're on to the third and final replay of this video, and we're now on El Alamein. And I'm going to try and get to the position at FG5, so I can shoot across the J line if people push across that way. And as you can see, we were quite easily doing 38 until we came to some slight incline on the ridge, which has made us just that little bit slower. But we are on our way, and that guy, that ISM, is looking juicy. But again, we've got AP in, which is going to be awkward for going through this ISM. So we get one through his low plate, the first one bounced, and the second one bounces off his low plate as well. Because 218 pen will struggle with an ISM. 265, though, will not. But I'm just sticking with the AP because, again, we did pen it, and I feel like if he's going to back off and get safe from that situation, he will have to give me his side armor. And in fact, we've got a BZ-166 there as well, so maybe I'm just like, go on, guys, stay where you are, shoot me. But yeah, they're not playing ball. So we ended up penning 2 out of 3 shells in the second clip, and that's because he pointed his lower plate upwards, which lessened the angle and meant it was an easier pen. So we're just waiting on the reload again, and this is just that typical bursty auto-loader gameplay, and that's why I say you never really pay attention to DPM too much with auto-loaders, because it is all about the burst damage as opposed to the raw keep fighting ability. So Mr. BZ166, unfortunately, the second shell was a little bit derped to the left, and it broke his track, meaning we can't kill that Chinese rocket tank, but we did put him down to a one-shot, and he gets shut down by the Barask. We have shots at the TL1 LPC that's crossing, but yeah, we're reloading, so we can't do that. We notice the guys crossing the open behind us, though, so if we can get a cheeky shot into them, into the G-Saw or the Barracuda, great, but we only get one of those shots in, so okay, we'll have to take it. We've got to bear in mind what's going on the map at this point as well, because there is heavy tank defending against those 4 people, but there's no one else. So we have to go and try and win this flank. Because at the minute we're in that sort of stalemate section that happens on this map or at times where the teams get sort of stuck at the H1-2 position. So we want to try and go affect the game so that we can turn around and deal with what's going off towards our base. So we get a shot into the M44. See the Jagdpanzer IV. I should hopefully be able to kill him if I get a shot in. We've got the heavy tank as well that I'm trying to look for shots at. And in fact, we've got shots into the back of the TL1 LPC and the other medium tank. So if I can disrupt these blokes, get shots into the back of them, then my team can go, aha, they're distracted, and come in and kill them. And that is exactly what's happening. It's the M48 120mm, sorry, not the 120, the M48A2, well, it's not a tier 10 game, it's a tier 8 game. That's an M48A2. I'm just so used to saying the M48 120mm, okay? It is what it is, because this is a tank you see very regularly. But yeah, the M48A2 is pushing up on top of that ridgeline. So we managed to get a shot in to kill him. I thought he'd die before I got the chance to do that, but there we go. Now we've been pushed into by a KV2. And well, Mr. KV2, if you HE me, it's going to go well. Except for he fires HE and it hits my gun. But it hit my gun and did absolutely nothing. So he must be raging. We're nearly reloaded. We should be able to finish him off with 2 shots into this poor little tier 6 heavy tank. Hello, Mr. KV2. I'm so sorry. And we end up... Well, we don't manage to finish him off. The Leo finishes him off, but we did get 1 shot straight through. We're up to 3.5k damage with 806 assistance damage. The 3 kills. Only 4 tanks left on the enemy team, and again, we kind of know where they are. They were heading towards our cap. I was fully expecting our cap noise to be going off because... You know what this game's like? People like that circle. They like sitting in that circle. So I was quite surprised that when they won that AB line, that they've not gone and sat in the cap. It's a refreshing change, you know? So we're going to use the 38 kilometers an hour top speed to push across as quickly as possible, get on top of the ridge lines, because hopefully we'll be able to shoot the TD or the heavy tank, or maybe even spot the guys that they could have stopped along the A line, because currently the Barracuda and the G-Saw are the ones that are spotted. Mr. G-Saw makes a mistake, pokes over and gets absolutely wrecked. The Barracuda is still hiding behind those ridges, and he will be a bit awkward if he decides to poke his turret over, because naturally the Barracuda has pretty good turret armor for in a tier 8 game, because the Barracuda is the same as the Emil 1951, and it's the same as the standard Emil 1 as well, where the turret armor is really good in a top tier game, but against tier 9s and 10s it really isn't very good, because their 260 plan plus can go straight through, which is pain. So Mr. Barracuda is basically going to die there, and there is only 1 tank left on the enemy team. It's a Minuteman. Now we're fully expecting Mr. Minuteman to be at A6 or A5, hiding round the corner possibly. But I'm just going to use my mobility to... Because someone pings the A6, E8 area, right? And I'm thinking, okay, does this person know something I don't? It's what we're going to go with. My teammates will end up going around the A line, and they'll find him if he's down there. I'm going to cut across this way to see if I can find him, and that way it'll make it easier. But we actually find the Minuteman, who's full health as well, up on the ridgeline at E8. So now we know exactly where he is. We can home in on him and try and get rid. Now, there's 2 ways this Minuteman can go. And I'm going to cut off the way that will be easiest for him to go. and will mean that he has more avenues for escape, and that is going along the 8 line possibly, and going between the gaps on the E line. Because if he tries to escape towards his cap, he'll have free reign to go that way if he does make it. And essentially, since it's a Minuteman, he's not the fastest tank in the universe. So we could hopefully catch him out in the open and shoot him in the butt. But there's also the possibility that he goes under the bridge at D9 and gets away that way. So with the medium tank being where he is and the TD where he is at F9, he's not been spotted yet, so he's not on that ridgeline. And there we go. We were trying to find different ways to cut off where he could be, and we've managed to find the Minuteman. We get 1 shot in, we get 2 shots in, and we should be able to pen and track him again. But of course not. RNG said absolutely not. You know that shot you just penned a second ago? You're not penning it this time, baby. And so we bounced. And he gets finished off by the IS-1U152K. Now, the Minuteman is one of those tanks that is very troll to shoot at, but I was very sad that that one didn't pen. So we finished the game with 4 kills, 4.5k damage, 806 assistance, the first class, the Pascucci's, the Confederate, the Sniper, the High Caliber, 1854 base XP. A really nice game there for the T-32a, which is the tank that you can get at level 100 in the Season Pass. And like I say, it's a pretty damn nice tier 8 heavy tank, to be fair, and you can have a pretty decent amount of fun with it. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.